Today we're going to do some time travel. We're going to look at a hypertext system circa 89, and it's a little bit of a back to the future because you will see that many of the things that we've been talking about today in the context of the web were issues before the web actually existed. What you're actually going to see is a real 31-year-old Macintosh 2 CI. It had 8 megabytes of memory, so that's 2,000 times less than you have today. The processor speed was 30,000 times less than it is today. The disk was 12,000 times less than today. The network was 1,000 times less than today, and the screen resolution was 12x today. Intermedia was a project at Brown that we used for education, and our metaphors were important. The paradigm was linking should be as easy as copy and paste. We said linking should be embedded in all apps. There shouldn't be a separate hypertext system. Linking should be an action that everybody can do, whether they're a reader or an author. No difference between a reader and author. And a multi-user network that multiple people can work on this at the same time. The architecture quickly was a multi-user network. It had a document network file system. This is the intermediate process with different applications. There was a socket to a link server with a link database. So the features I'm going to show you are how hypertext looks in a desktop metaphor, multiple apps, the notion of webs, which I'll explain, the use of history and local maps, copy and paste. I'm going to show generalized anchors in live tracking, and for trivia folks, this is where the name anchor came from in HTML today. I mean, Tim Berners-Lee had seen our system, and we had generalized the notion of what used to be called spans in text to be anchors, because our notion was that not only text is part of hypertext, but you needed to have an anchor for graphics or temporal media. We're going to show bidirectional links and one-to-many links, some user access rights, linking on and annotation on read-only documents, some multimedia, and some templates. So with that, let's switch to a demo. Here we have what looks like a regular desktop system, and I'm going to show you all the different apps that we have. We have a video app. Play is an animation app. Here we can start a new folder. This is a Val is a timeline app. This is a drawing app. That is a Word app. And you can see they're just regular text editors with style sheets and a drawing editor where I can draw things. So it just looks like a regular desktop now. So now I am going to go to one of the corpuses that were created in Intermedia, and I'm going to open up this thing called a web. Now, a web is our answer to one of the questions that was asked recently. How do you deal with a zillion anchors all pointing to the same document? How do you manage it if you have Shakespeare, for example? There'll be a million links pointing to it, and you'd never be able to see what things are. So the web is a way to partition links over the same set of documents. So if you had a Shakespeare corpus of Shakespeare sonnets, one class could have one web where they're creating their set of links pointing to Shakespeare and pointing back because it's bidirectional. Another class could have another set of links. Another class could have another set of links. If you use hypothesis, which Daniel talked about, then they have the notion of groups, which is the closest thing that we have today. So the web view is opened up, and the web view is both a history, and as we'll see in a second, it's also a map. Here's the space overview document. It's a graphics document, and these little markers right here are link markers. So if I want to follow to Beyond Earth, I follow, and I now go to this anchor. Notice the anchor is shown in marching ants on this marquee selection. And as I said, links are bidirectional, so I just follow that there, and I go back to the graphics document with that anchor highlighted. If I open up the link for the space shuttle, that opens up, and notice that as that opens up, this map over here changes, and I have a history of the previous documents that I just looked at, and I also show the different links that are emanating out of this document, and as I touch on a different link, you'll see they highlight. This one is just a single link. This one is just a single link. Some of them are multiple links, like that one has 2 links. So I'm going to go and let's look at the NASA facilities. And again, now here's a link that has more than one destination. So this is a n-ary link, and we bring up, here's the source documents facilities, and here's the 2 different things. I'm going to bring up the media guide, and here is a text document that will come up, and it has lots of links. So as you can see, again, this was the anchor, and lots of links. And again, as I touch here, I'll see the links. This is how easy it is to create a link. I just select something and say start link. Just like I say copy, I select something here and say complete link, and all of a sudden I have a link, and it's bidirectional. That's all I had to do. So the reason we did this paradigm, start link and complete link, is it means that I can just say start link over here, and then just browse around till I find the document that I want, and I'm not in a mode, and then I can create that link. So we don't want to be in a mode creating links. Now, we also can, these documents are live, so I can edit them. I'll just type in human 20 here, and I will create a link from their start link, and I'll come over here, and I will link to John Aaron and say complete link, and now I have created a link. Now, if I want to just add something in between human 20, I just add December 4th, and the system is smart enough to know that we've extended the anchor. So now the anchor is highlighted here, and you see that it's extended. So we're keeping track of all of this while we're editing. So we saw the map, and so now let's try to see some other stuff. I'll go over here to Space Shuttle Overview, and now I want to go to the Johnson Space Shuttle, this Johnson Space Center. So I go over here, and I bring up a document on the Johnson Space Center. There's my anchor. I'm going to follow the link from there, and I'm going to bring up now a photograph. So here's a photograph. There's my incoming link. I'm going to go to the next photograph. So this looks like I'm looking at a read-only picture, but really I'm not. If I show the top palette, this is a full graphics editor, and so I can do whatever I want. I can draw a orange rectangle. I can draw a red rounded rectangle, and I can draw a circle around that. Now, if I want to create an anchor, I select what I want to be the anchor. So I select this object, and I select this object, and I select this object, and I say start link, and now I will just select something here and say complete link, and there we go. When we follow in, those anchors are highlighted. It can move things around, so I'll move that down here, and I'll move this down here. Unlike text, graphics isn't, the objects don't, the link marker doesn't track with the objects because you don't know which object you'd like to have the link marker on. So I'll bring this here, I'll go back here, and now when I follow the link, it highlights those graphics objects in those new areas. Now I'm going to do something kind of crazy. Well, it isn't crazy, but it's fun. I'm going to go back to the press document, the media guide. So I go back to my history. And now what I'm going to do is close this web. So what happens when I close the web? All of the links go away. So there we go, all the links go away. Well, now I'm going to go and create a new web, and I can now create a link in here. And I'll link over here. And now I have a new set of links in a different web. It's the same set of documents on the same file system, but now I have a new web. If I close that and reopen that old web, then you'll see all those links come back. So here we go, that old web is opening up. So here you can see that this got repopulated and the old web still works. So right now I was running with pretty high privileges, and remember this is working over a network. So I'm going to close down for a second, and then I'm going to start up again as a user with fewer privileges. Let me go here. This was used for a course on Charles Dickens. And so let me open up the Dickens web, and then I'll open up the overview. So here's the overview, and I will go to the biography folder, and I will go here to the essay on his popularity. And notice if I try to type here, I get something that says I don't have the privileges. So, and it says once you start typing there, you don't have the privileges. It says, okay, this is a new document. So if you ever do something with it, you have to save it under another name. Now, if I come here and go to biography and open that again, so I haven't actually written anything to that document, I can now say start link, and I'll come down here and complete link on a read-only document. And so now I have created a link on a document that I didn't have write access to. So we allow that. Now, here I'm going to show, and the way that works is we have all these different we have a user property, we have document properties that provide annotate access as well as read and write access. We have properties on anchors and links, so we can add explainers, tags. That's the stuff that will show up in those boxes that you saw. Now here's something that we have that's pretty fun, at least in my mind. Okay, imagine you're a teacher teaching English literature and you want to talk about 100 authors. if you had to create one of these documents for every author and create all of those links, that would be a lot of labor. So if I, instead, I can do something like this. I will come here and show you templates. Now I will come here and I'll open up the author's web. And if you look at what we just saw with Dickens, the schematic was I have this thing over here, which is specific about the particular author. Here's the author overview and their works and the biography and so forth. And then the links that were at the bottom were stuff that are outside documents. They weren't about an individual author. They were about a just a topic that all the authors linked to. So if I wanted to create, if I had one on Dickens and I wanted to create one on Alexander Pope, I would love to just be able to duplicate this. I get separate documents from Pope, but they all link to these same documents. So I can simply create this template, which is like a folder, but it has placeholders. If you see this this underscore right there, it has placeholders. And so if I want to create a another set of documents for that famous writer Norm Meyerowitz, I just say duplicate template. I type in Meyerowitz, and in a second you will see all these new documents being populated. So there's my biography, there's my literary relations. The names now say Meyerowitz Literary Relations. You'll see the here's my overview, here are my works, and as you see all the links populated, and here's the web, so you can see that in the web view all of my links are set. So I can, if I go to my biography, it will go to a linked template document with my biography, but if I go to themes, it will go to the general document that all of the folks link to. So I will now go to one more or two more sets of items, but it'll be pretty quick. Here you can see that themes link not only to Meyerowitz, but it linked to all the other stuff. I will go to a course that was taught on biology, and this is about cell motility. So I'll open up the cell motility web, and I will go to cilia, and I'll go to the cilia overview, and now I'll go to the function overview, and here we are, and I'm going to scroll down here, and so here it says hence the cilia bends, so I'll follow that link, and now I think I will go to a video document. Now, here's a video document, and we saw textual anchors, we saw graphical anchors. This is a temporal anchor, and so we're linking to the beginning frame and the end frame. Now, the reason you're not seeing video on the screen is because you couldn't do video on the screen back then. The systems were too slow. So you actually used a video disc, which was like a Blu-ray disc, but analog rather than digital, and it ran on a separate machine. And when we hit play on each of these anchors, it would run the video disc at those frames and show it on a television. And if you wanted to create a new frame, you just played the video, and you did a punch in for the start that you wanted, a punch out for the end that you wanted, and you would get a new statement here, and that was already anchored, so that when you followed, the appropriate video played. We also had an animation editor, and as we do as we go here, we'll see that we bring up an animation editor. This is a bitmap keyframe animation editor, so it takes a little while to load the bitmaps, but as you'll see, we have linked to an animation editor that does that, and our anchors there again are temporal, so we can link to a single frame, or we can link to a span of frames that start and end, and so forth. So I will do annotations. So if I just bring up this document right here, and we had annotations, and not only did we have these navigational links, but we had annotation links. So I could go here and say, create an annotation, and we came up with an annotation that, so we created an annotation from Burn Han to right here, and Burn Han wasn't alive in 1960, so I want to change that to Doug Engelbart. I can write a comment down here. Burn wasn't alive. So there's my annotation. These are bidirectional and so forth. And I had this notion of push-pull. So if I go here to this anchor and I say push, it will put that, oh, I don't have write privileges, but it'll actually, it changed it to Doug Engelbart right here. So the annotations could push and pull, just using the link mechanism the same way stuff does in sort of in Google Docs today.